Welcome back to Franchise Interviews, where we're asking the entrepreneurs who want one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson. And if you've ever dreamed of owning your own business, then you've come to the right place. And as we were saying earlier, Don, we have a great show today. We're meeting with Alex Roberts, the president of Protect Painters. And Protect Painters is a professional painting contractor franchise specializing primarily in exterior residential painting projects. Hey, Alex, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure, Alex. Alex, joining us is my co-host, Don Johnson, and I know, Don, you wanted to say good morning to Alex.
We appreciate you coming on today, Alex. Look forward to hearing all about your franchise and how you're going to take over the country soon.
All right, wonderful. Thanks for having me, Don. Yep.
Great.
It's our pleasure, Alex. Alex, we would like to ask where you're calling from this morning to get an idea of what the weather is down there.
Well, I'm in Ann Arbor, Michigan, which is the Midwest here, and we're getting some rain right now. It's melting all the snow that we've had. This has been, I think, like the fifth most snow in history in Ann Arbor. So it's been a lot of shoveling this year.
Yeah, I imagine. Yeah, it's just been the same story here, Alex. Yeah, lots of rain, lots of snow. So it's similar climate. Alex, what were you doing before joining Protect Painters?
Yeah, my background's a little different than a typical entrepreneur or franchisor. So I'll give you the abbreviated Reader's Digest version here. But before I got involved in franchising here with Service Brands, which was 7 years ago, but I had played college hockey at the University of Michigan and then was drafted by the Chicago Blackhawks and signed with them out of college and ended up playing 3 years of minor league hockey. Unfortunately, I never cracked the big leagues, but had fun while I was young and single and irresponsible, but didn't want to be a career minor leaguer. But anyway, after 3 years of playing, I actually got into coaching and spent another 12 years coaching hockey with the Chicago Wolves in the American Hockey League, and then the USA National Under-18 team was what brought me back to Ann Arbor about 13 years ago. And so I was coaching the top high school age players in the country. We would go into these homes of 15-year-old kids, sit down with their mom and dad, and talk to them about what it would, the opportunity that would be available for them if they came to Ann Arbor and lived with a host family and went to high school here and trained with the national team, that they'd have an opportunity to get drafted in the National Hockey League and get a college scholarship and develop into the elite hockey players. And so I did that for 4 years with Team USA, and then spent another 3 coaching a junior team in the Ontario Hockey League. Before, what happened there is I had children. I was on the road a ton. I was probably 145 nights a year in a hotel room with all the travel and evenings and weekends and holidays and all those things that go along with coaching. And so I made a decision. I wanted to get out of the coaching world and get into the business world, and I didn't know what I was going to do. But through some friends and networking, and a good friend of mine, his name is John Rocci, and he's the president of a franchise company called the Belfour Franchise Group, which has Ducks and Hoods under their umbrella. But anyway, John said, hey, why don't you come into Service Brands? At the time, Ducks was a part of our Service Brands umbrella, and you can meet some folks. And long story short, as I explained what I did, Todd Recknagel, the president of Mr. Handyman, said, what you did on the recruiting trail of, in junior hockey and with Team USA is exactly what we do on the development side. We go in and we look at aspiring, entrepreneurs and business owners, and we need to go through a long due diligence process to educate them on the opportunity that we can provide, to see if it's a good fit for them, for us, and then you make an educated decision at the end of that process. And so he was the one who really saw that connection, hired me to be a franchise development manager for Mr. Handyman 7 years ago, and so I did that for 4 years with Mr. Handyman, and then I took over our development department for all the Service Brands companies over the last 3 years, and then just a couple of months ago took over as the president of Protect Painters. So that's my history in a nutshell.
Wow.
And tell us about Protect Painters, Alex. When did that get started? And maybe talk about a little bit of the history.
Yeah, well, Protect actually, with Service Brands, we acquired them in mid-2009. So we've really had it for about 18 months as a franchise company. However, if Protect has a long history. It was founded back in 1994 by Wayne Scherger, who is still with us as our founder. And Wayne has a long history in painting. He was a college pro franchisee when he was a young guy out of college, and was working, like many college students do in the summertime, make a few bucks running a painting company. And then when he got done with his schooling, he stayed on with College Pro and became a recruiter, and was building models and in that across the country, and then Wayne was part of the concept development team for our main competitor, which is Scherger Pro Painters, but Wayne was part of the group that helped develop the first year-round national painting franchise back in the early 90s. And after a couple of years with that venture, Wayne left and went off on his own and started Protect Painters. And over the years, Wayne, had a small franchise company. He's got 8 franchisees in his system. And at Service Brands, we have Molly Maid, Mr. Handyman, and 1-800 Dry Cleaner are other brands.
Mm-hmm.
But we were looking to add another concept to our portfolio, and we went out and started looking at different industries, service industries that were untapped and underdeveloped and had lots of room for a professional company to come in and grab market share. And the painting industry for us was a no-brainer after doing our research and due diligence. And we just wanted to know which company to partner with, so we went through 4 or 5 of the smaller painting franchise companies, and we're very excited about Wayne's model and Wayne's experience. And we've got the professional franchising resources here at Service Brands as it relates to everything from training and operations and IT and software and mapping and demographics and legal and accounting and finance and all the back office things, but we didn't know how to run a painting business, and Wayne did. So we partnered with him, and we launched here the end of 2009, and we've added 21 franchises in the last 18 months, and are on our way.
Wow. And when an investor, Alex, is looking at different franchises, or even maybe in the painting industry, why, and probably the similar reasons why you ended up choosing them to be in, within the family of brands, but, what are some of the main, selling points of Protect Painters? Why would an investor want to invest in this one?
Yeah. Well, a couple of things, Don. Painting, just like the maid industry and the handyman service, these are industries that aren't going away. They're not going to be replaced by technology. They're not going to be outsourced to India. People are going to continue to need painting services. Businesses are going to need painting services forever. I mean, we always joke. I mean, painting goes back to the days that cavemen were, painting on the sides of their walls in their caves, using things to paint their caves. So it's been around a long time. It's not going anywhere. Yeah. Huge industry. We focus on residential and light commercial, which is about $40 billion annually. So a huge market. I mean, the overall painting industry is over $100 billion, but we don't get into high rises and some of the large commercial things. So a very large industry. And the big thing here, what differentiates say a Protect Painters from what we refer to as Bob and his bucket, the independent guys, is the overall professionalism. And our consumers today, we know not every homeowner is going to be our customer, but the ones that value their time and their homes are their biggest investments, and they want to protect those homes. And so when somebody calls a service provider, the last thing they want is a voicemail or a disconnected number or an answering service that can't get to the actual business owner. So, we've developed a professional program that every phone call is answered by a call center with a live voice and a script that's able to book that estimate and provide for the franchisee. And then when that franchisee shows up for that appointment, they're wearing a branded uniform, golf shirt and slacks. They look professional. They're not in painter whites with paint all over them. They're driving a branded vehicle, very professional, look at branded vehicle. And we're bonded, insured, licensed, all the things that a homeowner wants to know. If somebody's getting up on a ladder in their home, they want to know they're protected and provide warranties on the work. So it's providing value to the customer, providing a professional experience that differentiates us from the independents, which is really what dominates I don't know if I want to use the word dominate, but the industry is littered with the small independents. But most people typically have an experience that hasn't been very smooth when it comes to dealing with painting contractors.
Yeah, I was telling a story, Alex, in segment 1. I mean, it really became a night where we hired a small independent, and I couldn't get rid of the guy. I mean, he was here for 30 days, and everything you were saying was just, as far as just showing up. I mean, having a hole in his shirt, and just I can go on and on. But next time around, going forward, I would definitely use a service like Protect Painters. It was a horror story. So there's so many benefits of using a company, like yours. It seems like Service Brands International too. It was a nice fit. for you guys as well.
Yeah.
Because I imagine there's a lot of cross marketing there and things like that.
There is. We've got multiple brands with very similar services. We're in people's homes, so to have franchisees across our brands work together in regards to leave behind marketing, if they're cleaning their home on the maid service and they'll leave a piece with the homeowner on introducing our new franchise, ProTech painters, that type of stuff is great. Marketing to their databases are wonderful. But the one thing I did want to clarify with our model as well in terms of why somebody wanted to get involved with it, I want to make sure everybody knows it's an executive business model. You're not painting. You're not the guy on the ladder with the brush. You're running a business, and so you're building your financial model, your business plan, your marketing plan. You're the one that's out there executing and implementing the marketing and paying attention to the bottom line and the numbers. But the one thing the owner does is go into the owner's homes and do the estimating, and that's where we train our franchisees on that portion. But I did want to make that clear. So if anybody's listening and they're not interested in painting, that's perfect, because we don't want people that want to paint.
Yeah, it's a good point. You're managing people. It's like many service businesses. You're a franchisee. You're not going to be doing the work yourself. You want to learn it and know how to do it, but you have employees to do that. So you want to be concentrating on building sales and that client relationship and getting repeat business and growing your business. That's a good point, Alex.
Absolutely. And then just the other point, too, and what differentiates our business from a lot of other service industries, including Molly Maid and Mr. Handyman here, is that with ProTech painters, we don't use direct employees. So you're not having a payroll to meet. You don't have to find work to keep your guys busy all the time. We use subcontractors. So, it's a 1099 subcontractor rather than a W-2 employee, which is your biggest expense in any service industry is going to be your labor. And so when you keep that cost variable, it keeps your profitability where it needs to be. So, each job that you produce or that you land, you then hire a subcontractor crew that's going to do the work for the percentage that you need to keep it in line with. And so we've got great relationships with the Sherwin-Williams paint stores around the country where we have discounted volume pricing for our products, but more importantly, they're one of our best resources for introducing us to the best crews in their area. Who drives the cleanest trucks? Who wears the cleanest uniforms? Who are the guys that are professional and that? And so each of our franchisees is able to go into their market and immediately have a laundry list of 8 to 10 crews that they can go out and interview and check the resources and look at their work. And and unfortunately, as we all know, the construction industry has slowed down tremendously in the last few years, but there are a lot of painters and other tradesmen that are looking for work. And so the easy thing right now is that there are no shortage of strong professional painting crews out there to hire to go out and do our work.
That's a good point with real estate being rougher. I guess more people are staying in their homes. They can't sell it or whatever, so maybe there's more residential business and maybe not as much commercial. But that's probably the toughest part for a franchisee, trying to find a reliable core of contractor painters that can be reliable, because in a service business, so I guess that sometimes that's a little trial and error, but that Sherwin-Williams relationship, I see where that can be key, because, you want to make sure you have the best experienced people representing your company to do the job.
Right. Yeah, we go through an extensive training program with our owners on how to go out and recruit and identify and what skill sets and traits you're looking for, and also our crews need to be bonded and insured, and that's one of the biggest things right there that eliminates the misfits, because if a crew is not willing to carry the applicable insurance and then they're not going to be the professional one that you want in your home. They're required to have crews that have that coverage. So that's one of the big pieces that eliminates it. But then you mentioned it. Trial and error is absolutely an area where you go out and do a job with somebody, and if they don't meet your expectations as you've laid them out for them before, and they don't deliver on it, then you don't use that crew again. And the beautiful thing about our model is that we can feed these guys a lot of work throughout the year, put a lot of bread on their table for their families, and that's where we're able to say, hey, I'm not just hiring you for one job here. I'm going to have a consistent book of business throughout the year, and I'm going to juggle between multiple crews, but if you're able to do and deliver, these expectations, then, I'm going to be able to feed you a job next week and the week after and the week after, to keep them going.
That's what people refer to us, Alex, when Marty and I first started doing the show. We were kind of known as the misfits when we first started this radio show. So we've grown out of that, right, Marty?
I think so. I hope so. What's been the most interesting thing that's happened to you, Alex, since working with ProTech painters? Anything stand out?
Well, I've been with ProTech just about 2 months now as the president, and the I guess the most interesting thing, is the fact that I was put into this position December 1st, which was right at the time when we were doing our budgeting and strategic planning for 2011, and we had our national convention January 24th with all our franchise owners together, and so I was kind of put into this spot right at a key time of strategy planning and budgeting and preparation for what really is the highlight of our year with our franchisees is that national convention. So my head was spinning for a couple of months as I got out and met with all of our franchisees and took some inventory and all that. But I had spent 7 years in development on the sales side, and a lot of things. When you're on the sales side, you take a lot of things for granted when it comes to operations and marketing and training and support and that. And so now, I'm involved in leading the charge in all of those areas. So the education that I've gotten here in the last 2-3 months on the overall franchise world has been tremendous for me. So it's like drinking from a fire hose, to use that analogy. But it's been a very interesting couple of months here to take on this new role and to help really lead our organization here to some great heights. But I don't have any real fun, interesting stories that come to mind off the top of my head. Sorry.
Well, yeah, it's an interesting story, probably to Don and myself, though, Alex. I mean, if you think about it going back to your hockey days, and if you said, this is what you'd be doing, in the future, you might have said to us, you're crazy,
Yeah.
So I find this story fascinating, is how, where you were and where you are today. I think it's a wonderful story to us, so
Thanks.
Absolutely.
The whole thing was I knew I wanted to get into something different, to get into the corporate world, and at the time, coaching youth hockey is a lot like teaching. It's very rewarding,
yes.
But you don't make a whole lot of money doing it. And
True.
I wasn't willing to pick up and relocate my family and chase a job here and there every 2 years and climb a ladder. And so when I came out, I wasn't in a position financially to look at being an entrepreneur or starting a business, and then I never even crossed my mind. And I got into franchising as a development person, and was part of a very great growth period with Mr. Handyman, and saw a lot of the advantages of franchising. And I go to a ton of franchise shows throughout the year, and I've always got my eye open for that different business model that isn't it yet in Ann Arbor, Michigan, that may be one that I could open myself here one day, and be my my own entrepreneur type of thing. But it's I've introduced a lot of people to franchising that have been in that position that need to take control of their lives after being outplaced or downsized and things like that. And it's just such a wonderful industry and so many opportunities. And I've been on the franchisor side here for 7 years, but I know I'll find myself on the franchisee side at some point as well.
That's fantastic. Alex, we have to take a quick break. Are you able to stick around for another segment?
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. We'll be right back with more franchise interviews.
Are you one of those special people who are willing to go after your dreams and goals? Are you ready to fulfill that dream of owning your own business with the security of a proven brand? The opportunity to take control of your future and own a Rita's Italian Ice franchise is within your reach.
Rita's is seeking success-oriented individuals who are ready to make a change in their life, and Rita's offers unparalleled training and support to assure your success. And did you know the frozen treat industry is a recession-proof industry, and there are Rita's in 23 states currently with 540 stores open. Rita's Italian Ice has been around for 25 years and is listed as a top-performing franchise by the Wall Street Journal.
Now here's the really good part. Rita's Italian Ice is a unique and amazing taste treat. It's smoother than a snow cone, and it combines ice with real fresh fruit. The real fruit adds dramatically to the taste, and it comes in over 40 flavors. The ice and fruit are mixed on site and made fresh daily, and it is delicious.
You'll want to know more about this exciting and successful franchise opportunity. Go to www.ownaritas.com and get all your questions answered. That's www.ownaritas.com to take control of your dreams and future today. You don't want to wait any longer to be a part of this adventure. www.ownaritas.com. Franchise Interviews. For over 2 years now, Franchise Interviews has been giving you an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship.
Through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising.
And our weekly franchise radio show, where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisors, franchisees, franchise authors, experts, and attorneys.
And our free franchise newsletter, which is a must-read for anyone looking to buy a franchise.
And don't forget to listen to our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919.
That's 610-905-2919.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to Franchise Interviews, where we're asking the franchipreneurs who own one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson. And if you've ever dreamed of owning your own business, then you've come to the right place. We have a great show today. We're meeting with Alex Roberts, the president of ProTech Painters. And ProTech Painters is a professional painting contractor franchise specializing primarily in exterior residential painting projects. And Don, I think you're up.
Yeah, Alex, during the break there, I just did a little research. You still hold the Michigan state record for time spent in the penalty box with your hockey background?
Yeah, but it's Michigan, not Michigan State. So,
okay.
I got, but anyway, yeah, that was my only claim to fame. I wasn't going to get my name in the record books by scoring goals, so I had to rough it up a little bit and get a few penalty minutes.
So what type of what type of franchisee are you really looking for now? I mean, you want the guy who's been a business owner, or has sales experience, or just someone who can follow the system, so someone who's very passionate about owning a franchise?
Right, that's a great question, and certainly, that is something we've learned a lot over the last 18 months as we've launched this business and seen what owners have had an easier transition and initial success, and what owners have had challenges in that. And so, in the painting industry, we certainly look for a couple of key attributes. And number one is leadership ability. When you're running a business, you need to be able to keep things prioritized, but also lead your painting crews and get them to get out and deliver what your expectations are for the consumer. You need to be able to get out and interact with the customers in their homes and ask for the business and do the sales piece of it. But having that internal leadership ability is one key trait that we look for. The second one, as you mentioned too, is that personal energy and tenacity that to be successful in any franchise. I don't care what it is, whether you're pouring ice cream or taking care of the seniors or painting. You need to be out there and putting your personal energy into this business. In particular, that first couple of years, as we all know affectionately called the grind stage. As you're out there building that business, you've got to put that personal energy into it. Your marketing is going to do a lot for you in regards to your direct mail and marriage mail and the internet presence and things like that, but it's in our business in particular, the owners that get out and network, get involved in their local community, their local chamber of commerce, business networking groups, meet with local realtors, decorator companies, any business you go by, you want to stop in and shake hands and pass out your literature and build those referrals, putting out yard signs in front of jobs that you're working on, and hitting the 3 houses to the left and 3 to the right and 7 across the street with a door hanger while you're producing at a job. Referrals are huge. So leadership, tenacity are 2 key things. Then effective communication skills. Somebody that, again, this is as you mentioned earlier, it's a relationship business. So whether it's your customer relationships, your crew relationships, your vendor relationships, the people that have those strong communication skills are ones that have an easy adaptation to our model. And then the final, real key trait we look for, people that are able to be introspective and look at themselves in the mirror and know that they're following that model and that system, and that they're executing the business model as they were trained, that they're investing the dollars and the resources into their marketing and the efforts to drive and grow that business. So, that's the ideal franchisee for ProTech Painters is the best I can describe it. Really covering the basics is essential, and the basics are little things like doing door hangers and going out and meeting with people and joining groups and all the essentials, the basics, I guess I'll call it. But very important because it all adds up. You never know where your business is going to come from. Yeah, and we do have great stories, from just one. I was talking with a franchisee yesterday down in Florida. He's in a condo association is where he lives, and there was a posting in the elevator for the condo association board of directors meeting, and he actually thought it was open to the public, but it was just the board of directors. So anyway, he showed up at the meeting, and they said, well, who are you? And he said, I live in over here, and I thought this was a thing. They said, no, it's just the board, and they he's mentioned that he had his painting shirt on. And they said, what do you do? And he got into describing what his business was, and a week later he was outbidding their painting all of their vestibules and the sidewalks and stairways, and he landed a $25,000 job from stumbling in on a meeting. And they manage multiple properties throughout the area, and he's already bidding on another project. That's going to potentially be another $100,000 light commercial job at painting the exterior condos of 70 units. And so, anyway, things like that, taking advantage of those opportunities are wonderful. And as you mentioned, you never know where it's going to come from, but you've got to, That's a good strategy. Go to meetings that you're not invited to. And who knows what?
That works. Alex, we have about 60 seconds. What's the best way for our listeners to get more information on becoming a franchisee? Are there any websites they can go to? Any numbers they can call?
Yeah, www.protectpaintersfranchise.com is our franchise development website. www.protectpainters.com is our consumer website if you want to learn more about having your home painted in our area. Wonderful websites, and if you want more information, submit an application, and we'll get back to you right away.
That's great. I want to thank you again, Alex. You've been a fantastic guest. Don and I would love to have you back in the near future as well.
All right. Thanks, Marty. Thanks, Don. Appreciate the time.
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Alex. Great job.
Great show, huh, Don?
Yep, it always is.
Seems like a perfect match, and it's funny, I remember when we had Surface Brands on our show, oh, God, I want to say it was 4 years ago. It was over 4 years ago, and I know that they were kind of looking for this type of franchise. It just seems like almost a perfect fit for the Surface Brands franchise concepts, So, well,
it's interesting, his background recruiting young hockey players, and then he went into recruiting franchise owners.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It is. I think it's a great entrepreneurial story. It's
right.
I just thought it was fascinating. So good job on segment 1 today, Don, and thanks for all our listeners in the chat room today and who called in, and we had a bunch of people in the chat room today, Don. So
good.
Again, I want to thank all of them for listening to the show and making the show such a success. So, and for our listeners, go to franchiseinterviews.com, franchisefunding.net, gofranchise.com. Franchise World Radio. I forgot to mention that one again, didn't I, Don?
We'll talk about it more next week, yeah.
Okay. All right. So good job, Don, and I'll see you next week.
Take care.
Take care, everyone.